Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what a wild beta this is, and is going to continue to be for quite a while. Websites were crashed for a good minute. However, I finally was able to get catch of a website and read some character kits, so I will be giving my general thoughts on them, general description, because it's just a V1, don't take it too seriously. Of course, there's like V3 and later versions as well, which is why I don't want to go into specifics completely, right? So let's start off with some of the Nova characters. Well, Nova, his skill bounce is now 4 instead of 2. His ult now delays action by 12% and inflicts slow. When attacking slowed enemies, delay their action by 4%, and this can stack up to 8 times. Similar to Ashvale, he now automatically reduces enemy defense by 40%. He has an EHR to attack conversion up to 80%. He's gotten additional damage multipliers on basic attack and skill. His E1 deals additional damage when you alter skill. His E4 gives 20% crit rate, 50% crit damage. And his E6 is pretty fucking strong with a 30% res reduction on enemies, right? Next, we go to Firefly. Her skill implants now on 3 targets instead of 1. Her Trace 1 increases break effect by 25%. When breaking with Firefly during ultimate, delay countdown of ult end by 10% up to 3 stacks, meaning her ultimate can now last 30% longer. And her Trace 2, break effect that is equal to or greater than 200%/360%, has now been changed to 150/300%, and it will convert the toughness reduction of this attack into 1 instance of 100/150% super break multiplier. By the way, it used to be 35/50%. So this super break multiplier has straight up gotten a 3x increase. Her ult is now 30% longer, her implant is now blast, and the cherry on top, they did what I predicted. Her E2, with the current wording it has, should allow her to get an extra turn every single turn without any other turn cooldown. So it is much more appealing now to get her E2, as there's no longer some bullshit cooldown on it. So long as you're able to trigger a break or kill on enemy, you will get an extra turn no matter what every time, right? Next, we go into Huohuo's Nova Flare. So for Huohuo, she can now get her talent when casting Sealer Ultimate. She starts the battle with 30 more energy. When you ult, if the ally's ultimate cost is 160 or higher, they will get a 24% bigger attack buff. And then her E1 got buffed to give 20% speed instead of 12, and also an outgoing healing increase of 100%. Now, I will say, Huohuo's Nova Flare is definitely the most underwhelming one here. However, it's actually kind of obvious why this is. It's because of the fact that they're adding her to the Golden Token shop if you've been keeping up with the recent leaks. So E1 is a lot more easily attainable than normal, meaning E1 Huohuo is really the way you should probably be looking at this, in which she looks a lot stronger, right? She gets significantly more out of turn heals, more attack buffing for fat energy characters, more speed, which is always nice, and she just heals a lot more at E1. I'd assume like high scene levels, right? So E1 Huohuo is definitely what you want to aim for. As for Seal Nova, the main thing to take away from Seal's Nova is that now, when enemies are 50% HP or lower, Seal will always be able to get an extra turn after using an attack on them. So Seal no longer has the issue of, oh, once HP inflation hits hard enough and she can no longer kill mobs or bosses as quickly, can't proc the resurgence, falls off massively. This no longer exists. No matter what, when an enemy is 50% HP or lower, she will be able to trigger Resurgence, which is really cool. She also got a ton of multiplier buffs. Her E6 has like true damage on the ultimate damage now. She gives herself a ton of self buffs like Res Pen and a ton of damage bonus. She has gotten massively buffed and is likely a single target behemoth now, right? So that's the Nova for all of these characters. Now let's talk about EMC, Yao Guang, and Silverwolf, right? Now, to start off with EMC. EMC, surprisingly, is more targeted to Evanescia, in my opinion, than Silverwolf. He's a single target buffer. If you buff characters who aren't Elation, he'll give 50% AA similar to Sparkle, right? Which is pretty cool. I believe around when you get his E4, he'll put 12% vulnerability on enemies, which is pretty cool. So he has like vulnerability buffing. He also buffs crit damage for a teammate as well. You also get, once again, the action advance. You can use this guy generally, but in my opinion, he's definitely worse than RMC generally. You mainly want him in Elation teams, and he also generates a good amount of certified banger, which specifically Evanescia really loves this shit, right? Evanescia's kit absolutely loves certified banger gen. It loves crit damage because Evanescia's kit uses crit damage for increasing her own Elation. So yeah, I mean, EMC is cool. He looks good. He's not Yao Guang. He's definitely weaker than Yao Guang, and he has no merrymaking in his kit, which goes for another prediction of mine that I've had for quite a while now. Yao Guang is the EMC upgrade, and this basically proves it. He has no unique buff over Yao Guang at all, meaning Yao Guang is the EMC upgrade. Yao Guang is likely exponentially better than any other option for Silverwolf, and EMC, once again, is much more Evanescia targeted, right? Now, let's move on to Evanescia. Evanescia seems to be a mainly bounce damage dealer, so, prioritizes, or sorry, thrives off of single target as compared to any other type of content. However, this doesn't mean she doesn't have AoE, because she does have AoE across multiple attacks, even if the multiplier isn't as high as her bounce attacks. So she's a single target damage dealer who can still compensate by doing a little bit of damage AoE if needed, which is always a nice thing to see. Once again, crit damage that she has will increase her own Elation. She has the highest ER requirement, I believe, in the entirety of the game, or near it. So she fucking loves ER gen. Obviously, they're selling that shit on her Lycone. Who could have guessed, right? However, also, if I remember correctly, she increases her own ER gen based off how many certified banger stacks that she currently wields. So you can massively increase her ER gen through a bunch of different ways, which is cool. However, we'll have to see how effective that exactly is once we're actually able to get beta gameplays and stuff like that. But once again, general description: single target damage dealer, bounce damage dealer, but much better in single target. Has a little bit of AoE damage, really loves ER gen, synergizes incredibly well with EMC, but Eidolons, early Eidolons especially, look a little underwhelming in my opinion, right? Next we go into Silverwolf. Broken. There's really no other way for me to put it. She looks just broken from a first read of her kit. Stupidly broken. And the old concern we used to have, that Yao Guang's Aha Instant Punchline wouldn't contribute towards her ultimate, actually was wrong. I talked about it in my recent video I made like 5 hours ago from a recent leak we got, that given from the wording of the leak, it seemed like Yao Guang's Aha Instant would actually generate Punchline and help Silverwolf get her ultimate, which is exactly the case. So Yao Guang is now near, if not on par, in terms of Punchline gen for a Silverwolf ultimate to Sparksy, right? So Yao Guang has basically solidified herself, in my opinion, as a permanent best in slot in Silverwolf's team. There is zero fucking competition. There was already no competition before the Aha Instant didn't synergize. Now that it does, and with her E1, by the way, which increases the Aha Instant's punchline from 20 to 40, oh my fucking goodness, right? Yao Guang and Yao Guangless Silverwolf is likely going to be an astronomical difference. So yes, if you are going for Silverwolf, I can say with full confidence now, please pull Yao Guang. You don't need to pull her now because they'll probably rerun her on like 4.3 with Sparksy. However, if you can afford it, I'd recommend you get her, right? So Silverwolf is just a full-on damage dealer. I believe she has like bounce in some places. She has AoE in other places. On top of this, she's kind of like Rappa, right? When I was reading her kit, I could be wrong when the gameplays come out. She looked like Rappa. When she gets her ultimate, she will action advance herself, and she'll have an enhanced BA, and after using 3 turns of this enhanced BA, she'll exit the state. Sounds a lot like Rappa, right? So she's very Rappa-esque, obviously astronomically fucking stronger. However, on top of this, her E2 investment, I need to bring this up, right? You guys will realize I'm not going into the in-depth of these characters' Eidolon investments because they can obviously change. The Eidolons are one of the things that easily change over time in betas. But her E2 it's a behemoth, right? For you guys to understand, when she gets E2, she reduces the res of all enemies to 0, right? So this shit is astronomically broken. If you guys don't know what's going on, with the recent Elation enemies, some of them, they can have up to like 80% res to a element. So Silverwolf at E2 can now completely remove this 80% res that these enemies may have to imaginary for her and just do normal damage, right? However, not only this, if they already have no resistance, then they will at least get a 20% res decrease. But it doesn't stop there. Oh my god. When targets with absolute weakness implanted take elation damage from allies, the damage taken will be recorded by Silverwolf, and after the final hit of her enhanced BA, she will additionally deal true damage equal to 20% of the recorded value. Yes, she has Cypher's true damage record gimmick on her E2 alongside the fact that she can reduce all enemy res down to 0 for all elements, right? Holy fucking shit. This is just absolutely insane of an E2. I mean, wow, right? It's something. That's all I'm gonna say. It's really something. So yes, this is a very general descriptive video. Once again, I'm not going in depth on every single character's kit, especially this early on a V1. I'm gonna wait for calcs. I'm gonna wait for gameplays. You know, we're gonna get more changes over time, and I'll be able to give better opinions on this stuff. However, so far, every Nova looks incredibly promising. Ho-Ho's not so much, but once again, she's in the golden token shop. So if you consider her E1, it's still really, really fucking good. And then Evanescia looks like a bounce damage dealer who specializes in lower target content, but can still deal damage AoE. EMC looks much more like an Evanescia teammate than he does a Silverwolf teammate. And Silverwolf just looks like everything. Right, there's really no other way for me to put it. It looks like she is literally good for absolutely everything. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.